Hey everyone, so with Thoma coming to Genshin soon, I wanted to talk about where he will fit in and whether or not he will be the next big Pyro sub DPS slash support added to the game. And so with that, let's move on to the video. So Thoma is coming to Genshin very soon, alongside with Hu Tao, another very strong character. And so how will he perform in the current meta alongside other Pyro characters? Well, firstly, let's talk about what role Thoma will fit into. So while some may be wanting to run him as a main DPS, his best role and what he is most suited to is a sub DPS slash support role due to his kit. Now, in this role, at the moment, we don't actually have many characters that can fit into this sort of Pyro sub DPS role, as the only one that really comes to mind is Xinling. However, Xinling, while she is amazing due to her burst, having some of the highest damage multipliers in the game and absolutely shredding mobs, especially in domains, her skill is also not too bad, but can be avoided if the enemies are fast enough to run away from it, but overall, really good. But the main reason she hasn't really risen to be the sort of premier Pyro sub DPS is that her burst, while very good in terms of damage, is not the best when it comes to applying Pyro, for a few reasons. The first being that if you are fighting against a small enemy, you can actually completely avoid the enemy entirely, and so that means there are times when you have to sort of position yourself slightly away from the enemy in order to make it hit, meaning you can't attack with the burst, which someone like Thoma fixes with his burst. Another reason is that often in battle, you're going to be moving and dodging the enemies, and so lining up this burst can be quite difficult, and so both of these reasons actually get fixed with Thoma's burst, as it will only activate upon attacking the enemy, meaning both the position of his burst is much easier to control than Xinling. Now, because this only releases a pulse in front of Thoma, it does mean that this will be slightly worse in multiple enemy scenarios, but it's still very good. Now, the second big reason he could be one of the best Pyro supports coming to the game is his skill. Now, shields have always been a very important part to a team comp, as the ability to negate any damage is so powerful and is even somewhat necessary in some of the harder content in the game, like Azaha for example. So having someone whose main sort of role is to apply Pyro also possess a shield is great, as it eliminates the need to bring someone like Zhongli for example, who's sort of the go-to when you need a shield. Now, it still remains to be seen how good this shield will be, but seeing as it does in fact have the ability to stack on itself, I could see this being an amazing shield for a 4-star as long as you can keep up these stacks, which doesn't seem impossible, seeing as the burst does say that it will refresh those stacks when you continue to use it. It's also great for the Pyro element, as aside from Xinyan, who no one really plays sadly, no one has a shield, which means that Thoma will open that door to so many more teams that can be played because of this. And speaking of teams, seeing as we haven't really had anyone that can apply Pyro quite like Thoma, this will open many vaporized and melt teams, and even possibly overloaded teams if that gets buffed. Now, in terms of vaporized teams, there aren't many Hydro users. Kokomi was just released, but she's more of a support than DPS, so Child is the only one that comes to mind, although you could use Xinshu. It'll kind of be interesting to see how their bursts interact with each other, as they are both being compared with each other, with Thoma's burst being very similar to Xinshu. Now, in terms of the cryo characters, there are many that could make use of Thoma's Pyro application and shield. But now, how is Thoma? Will he be the next big Pyro sub DPS or support? Well, overall, he is looking to be an extremely strong character, capable of not only being one of the best Pyro appliers due to his strong burst, but also able to help his teammates through his shield. And so, seeing as Xinshu is regarded as one of the best sub DPSs, and that Thoma is going to have a similar burst but have a shield, I believe that he will be one of the better sub DPS slash supports in the game, and definitely the best Pyro one at the moment. And so if you do have some Primo gems left over, then definitely go for them. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.